Hello again, it's Chad Broshears, and I have another video. This one actually is for development. So it's personal, interpersonal development. Uh, so again, I'm Chad Broshears with Go Figure Holistic Personal Training and Ascending to Total Maturity, which is a education that I created. Uh, uh, I love this. Anyhow, all right, guys. So what I want to talk to you about today is filling in the blanks. This is a term that I use, and this has to do with this placing ideas in where information is not. So say somebody says they're going to call you and they don't make the call. Well, if they don't make the call by the time they said they would, we have a habit of making up a story about why they didn't. You know, sometimes that story is along the lines of, they don't care that much about me. Or, you know, they've got better things to do apparently. Or whatever. You know, something there's a self-serving idea in it, and it doesn't sound like that initially, possibly to you. It may not sound like it's self-serving, but what is self-serving about it is you get to be right. And when you get to be right, you get the opportunity to kill that person off. Like you can say, you know what, I'm not going to deal with you anymore. Or, yeah, I knew this person was a jerk, and now they're proving it. And you don't know what's going on. All you know is you filled in the blank. So by filling in the blank, you're doing yourself a disservice. So I'll give you a little story about my own filling in the blanks. This actually goes anywhere in human relationships, where if somebody says something, promises they're going to do something or whatever, and they don't come through, we like to fill it in with whatever information best serves us. So usually it's not going to be one of those great things like they must have won the lottery and they're on their way to go pick up their lottery winnings and then they're going to come back and they're going to hook me up. Usually that's not the way it works. We go to the negative, the ugly side of things. This is optimist, this is pessimist, it doesn't matter. This has been confirmed many times over, and it doesn't mean that I'm absolutely right, but I haven't been proved wrong yet on this. So with that, we almost always default to the negative. So the person must be, you know, just an absolute jerk, or they're using me, or whatever. And it may or may not be true, but at the moment you don't know. So you make up a story about it, and then you charge the story with emotion, and then it's like you have an attitude about it. And you don't know, that person may be in the hospital. That person may have had some wonderful news and they just did not come across to contact you over the moment. And then there's always the more common and more prevalent, which is people don't really do what they say most of the time because they lack integrity. And that's not a bad thing. It's just a thing. So let's not polarize it or make somebody, oh, yeah, that's right, they don't have integrity. When you make up a story, you don't have integrity either, because you don't know enough and you're doing something to harm another, whether it's physical or emotional or psychological, or their character is who they are. You don't know. So my solution for this, by the way, is simply pick up the phone and call them. If they don't call you by the time they say they're going to call you, email you, or walk in the door, or whatever it is, they don't do it. You be the change that you wish to see. You can identify the change you wish to see by simply finding out where you're emotionally charged. So if you feel emotional about it, pick up the damn phone. It'll take less energy than it would sitting around all day whenever you think about them and you think about this story and you make up more crap. So pick up the phone. And if the person is just simply interested or doing what you think they are, which most of the time they're not, unless you know them well enough, they've done it often enough that you've got to this point, which means you kind of did it to yourself. Don't take that negatively, or do whatever way you want to be about it, but just understand that your actions prove what you really desire, not what you say. So if you don't show something different in your actions, then you can't change things. You have to do something different to have something different. So anyhow, my personal story, when I was in my 20s, man, I was a horrible, I was a jerk to date. Because I tested every single woman that came along. whenever they would send me a message, or I would send them a message, like a text message or a phone call, and leave a voice message or whatever social media platform. And if they didn't get back to me by a specific amount of time, I would make something up about them. If we were supposed to talk, we were supposed to do something, and they did not follow through, I'd make it up. And then I would just sit there humble and arrogant, just like, yeah, I'm a better person because look, I followed through, and this nonsense. And by the way, I'm not saying that I was like that overt about that. It was inside, it was in my head, and it was like proving that I'm better than other people, just because I would take certain actions, which therefore made me less than better than other people because I was being a dick. And that's not who I've evolved to be. But still know that, man, I was hardcore in my 20s, man. It was pretty rough. And I feel for everyone that I dated in my 20s that I did this with, which, by the way, I did it with everyone. I did it with my friends too, by the way. They said they'd do something and follow through and all of this, and they didn't do it. I was like, okay, I can't depend on you. Rather than holding their feet to the fire for a second and say, hey, bud, you told me you were going to do this. You didn't do it. What's going on? Is there something I can help you with? Is there something there? And I wasn't doing that. I was doing the other side. I was more of just being right and being like, I can do it. And you know what? I'm going to do it alone because you are undependable and I can't trust you. And that's not fair to anybody, especially since I didn't even go up to bat. I was like a spectator in a stadium, and I was watching the baseball players and saying how much better of a game I could play. But yet I wasn't playing it. I wasn't getting out there. I wasn't making the phone calls to be like, hey, I don't want to come across abrasive or anything, but you said you were going to do this and you didn't do it. And I just want to know what's going on. Is it that you don't really have that much interest, or did you overcommit, or what is it? So I know, so I don't create something that doesn't serve you. And if there is something that's not serving you, can I assist? Can I help? Because with you, when you grow, I grow. And I'm not coming across saying I know everything is the best. Look, there's many books out there in print. Well, if there was an absolute truth that someone knew the best for everything in the human experience, we wouldn't need so many books. There are different interpretations in our lives for a reason. That there's no one right way to live this life, but there is an effective way to get to your goals that is the most effective that is known. That doesn't mean don't go trailblazing, because by all means, please. I mean, otherwise we lose innovation. But anyhow, all of this being said, there is a benefit and there is a cost to filling in the blank. The benefit is simple. You get to be right. Now, it's not ultimately right when they contact you and you find out otherwise. At the moment that you make up the story will almost guarantee to serve you, which means it makes you right at that moment, which kind of comforts you, like mama holding you in her bosom and saying, you know what, everything is going to be okay. And that person really is such a monster, or whatever your story is, but it really is just to serve you until you find out otherwise. Then you may be like, damn, good thing I didn't tell anybody about that, because that really, ugh. So anyhow, guys, I'll expand on this, especially in interviews and things like that. So if you do care to comment on this, again, I don't know everything. I have been told I know a lot, and I've been told that regularly by a lot of people, but I choose not to know it all because I love to learn, and my next step in conversation and learning could be just a conversation away. So with that, thank you guys. I'm Chad Broshears of Go Figure Holistic Personal Training.